glue sniffers and sprue snippers. Welcome back to Blitzkrieg Model Works. I'm Bob, and this is Hobby Boss's brand new King Tiger July 1945 version. Kit number is 84533, and this box is huge. I'm like right beside this thing. To give you an idea how big the box is, here's Mig Ammo's version. It's not that you get that much more, it's just that it's spread out a bit more. This is not going to be a side-by-side comparison to say which kit is better. This is just going to be one of my standard inbox reviews. If you want a side-by-side comparison, please let me know in the comments below. It will take me some time to dig through all my reference material because I'm going to reference to see which kit is more accurate than the other, even though the July version never actually was built even. The war just ended too quickly. Not necessarily a bad thing. So, a little preface. The last production version of the King Tiger was what's commonly known as the March 1945 version, or the final production version. The July version was going to incorporate a lot of different design changes. The rear engine deck was a large redesign. The intakes for the radiators were going to be armored. There was going to be 3 breathers over the engine access covered to 2. The biggest difference that a lot of people see are these little rangefinder nubs that you see. I don't think you can see them in the picture, but unfortunately, to necessitate proper gun depression, the turret roof had to be extended forward to the commander about a foot or so scale size in real life, to allow room for the rangefinding equipment and for the gun to depress properly. Unfortunately, neither the Mig Ammo kit or the Hobby Boss kit accurately show that. So to date, and I probably will reference it later on, the only July 45, the only accurate July 45 turret that's out there is the long out of production Chesapeake Model Designs July 45 version, which gave you that plus an engine deck. I think there's a few other parts. Had a chance to look at the kit. It was very nicely done. I got this from an eBay supplier. Normally I don't plug guys. I did pay for this, by the way, full price on my own. They packed this thing so nicely, I wanted to give them a little plug because I have never seen anybody pack a kit this well before. Foam on the inside, outside, cardboard, the whole works. This thing was packed like a tank. But anyway, let's move everything over to the bench. Hopefully this monstrosity will fit. And let's go through the sprues. So normally I just go on to the instructions and then going through the sprues and whatnot. But I wanted to put a little shout out here for the shop that I got this from on eBay, Timosmodelworld. I'll put a link in the description below. And I have never seen a kit packed this nicely from a vendor. Usually they just kind of take a kit off the shelf, throw it into a box or a bag. But this is how this arrived. Lots of foam packing, lots of bubble wrap. Like, this is how I received this. And this is incredible. I'd never seen this before. And the kit itself, it was wrapped in a cardboard wrap around it, and then like a black mail bag, not just a bunch of bubble wrap and some duct tape like I've seen some other stuff. So I just wanted to do a good shout out because I'm really impressed with how well this kit was protected for transit from Asia to Canada. And while we got it open, let's just, because I haven't opened this other than taking this sprue, because somebody was asking me about a part on one of the sprues, and dig through. There's a lot of parts. There's all your tracks, which we'll get to in a minute. You know, our little bubble wrap, and the muzzle, covered muzzle is resin, but I'll show you that a little closer later. So right now we'll start off with the instructions. So here we have the instructions with our usual cautions and warnings in English and Chinese. We have our little icon menu here. Weight, I don't think that's going to be an issue here, but they probably just do this in all of their kits. For those that are wondering why you'd have weight, if you have an aircraft with tricycle landing gear, meaning 2 in the back and 1 in the front, you usually want to put weight on, in the nose to hold the nose down so it's not a tail sitter. And we start with our sprue map. So it is a bathtub style hull, one piece upper hull other than the engine deck, one piece turret, which because as I said earlier, the turret is incorrect. That's going to be very difficult to correct, opposed to the Megama one, which has a turret roof and then a turret. Get 4 sprues for your road wheels, 2 sprues for drive sprockets, your side skirts and rear hull, more turret suspension, hull parts, tow cables, clear and photo etch parts, more turret parts, more hull parts, more turret and hull parts, rear deck, which is unique to the July 45 Tiger, 10 lovely sprues of individual working track links, some machine guns, your metal gun barrel, the muzzle cover, which is the resin version, and your decals. So as with most kits, you start off with suspension and lower hull, and the suspension and the swing arms and the torsion bars are separate pieces, and it does appear that they are fully articulated, meaning you can move them, or you can weight your vehicle perhaps and have them shown articulated. Most guys would articulate them in place and then glue them. You have all your swing arms, all of your road wheels, road wheel caps. So it appears if you're careful, you might actually be able to make your road wheels spin. I believe it's the same. Yeah, same with the drive sprockets. It's kind of a slight Tamiya style without polycaps. And then there's the nightmarishness of multi-piece track links. They don't look too bad. They do look like there'd be a lot of work. Exhausts. Inside the upper hull, so putting in the MG34, which looks like it's fairly nicely detailed. Not that you'll really ever see it. Rear engine deck. As I said, this engine deck is unique to the July 45 version, and later perhaps, for those that wish to build it that way. Tools, they give you some PE for the tools. Fairly simplistic from the looks of it. We'll go over it in a bit more detail. Upper hull. They even give you the conduit for the Bosch headlight, which is a nice touch. Usually you have to put that in with wire or lead solder. The side skirts, which are all one piece. Adding your upper and lower holes together. Adding all your fenders and little fender details. And then your turret. Nice clear pieces for the commander's cupola. I'll have to check when we get to the parts to see if there's any detail underneath. Usually they don't put any detail on the inside, and there should be a little padded leather head cap on the real thing. The rear loading door, loader's hatches, and then the gun. There's you get what appears to be a very nicely detailed breech block and trunnion, again, which you'll probably never see. So there's a bit of extra detail on the underside of the turret roof. They kind of show you a little bit here. Nice, they actually tell you where your PE goes. They give you measurements in millimeters. And something I noticed when I was digging through the parts there, the close-in support weapon, E9 there, there's actually a cap, the hole for the actual weapon, for the little mortar, the shell that they would fire out of it, it's actually hollow. I don't think I've ever seen that before on an actual plastic kit. Usually it just has a cover, or you get one that has a hole kind of represented in it. A little bit more interior view. Then you go on to mounting the lower turret with the gun, and then adding the armored covers for the binocular rangefinder sight. Now it's really odd, this was brought up on one of the Facebook pages, and I'll show you the part when we get to it. There is a part on the sprue, it's I believe H19, and it's like an auxiliary optic, and there's this, you can see it, they actually mark it here on the turret drawings, this circular mark, which is actually on the plastic part, which I think that's where it goes, but it's not called out anywhere. So I'm wondering if there's a different variant that they're looking at bringing out. Excuse me. All the foliage loops are plastic, as are the track hangers. If you see these in real life, they're really thick. They're like half an inch thick. They're really heavy because the tracks are insanely heavy as well. And then telling you to make spare tracks, you do have to do some modifications. And then your final assembly. So we'll go to the paint guide. So you get a couple of paint guides, full color, double-sided. I'll flip them over in a minute. This one being the box art version, which is pretty nice. And what I really like, and I wish more companies would do this, they actually give you a color key with multiple manufacturers. You know, you get Mr. Hobby, Acrisian, Vallejo, Model Master, Tamiya, Humbrol. And you can, you know, while like Tamiya in particular, while some of the Model Master stuff is kind of blank too. I mean, stuff like wood, brown, and steel. I mean, Tamiya do a good steel. It's, whoops, you know, XF84 dark iron. You could use that for their steel color, for example. And then your more traditional three-tone ambush pattern. And I like this. I wish more guys would do this on Facebook when they ask what the best paints are, because we never know what country you're in, and some paints aren't available in certain countries. And then we have basically an all primered version with no markings. And then a two-tone, kind of what I've heard called the octopus pattern. But only the one with the ambush scheme actually has turret numbers. Okay, we're going to kill 3 birds with 1 stone here and go through the upper hull, lower hull, and again the infamously wrong turret. Starting with the lower hull, we have a very nice rolled texture. I don't know if this is going to show up. Excuse me while I just move my viewfinder a little bit. And try and move this around so maybe you can see some texture on there. It's even on the bottom. Even the bottom's got this rolled texture. It's really nice. Bottom of the sponsons don't have it, but you don't really see that anyway. But the sides certainly do. And that's really nice. You know, late war, the armor quality wasn't nearly as good as it was, you know, pre-43, say. It was still pretty good. This is kind of rough, but it, you know, artistically it looks really nice. You know, your weld seams are really nice. Torch marks on the bottom. But very nicely molded. The upper hull, again, same deal. Really nice textured pattern. Along the sides, decent locator marks. Little bit of a sink mark there. It's kind of thick on the back. Little bit of a sink mark. Yeah, a little bit there too. Nice texture all along the upper deck. The turret as well, not quite as pronounced, but it's still there, and very, very light locator marks, as you can see. Nicely slide molded. Weld marks are really nice. And it's going to make this really difficult to fix. Now, like I said with the Big Ammo kit, in the July 45 version, other than the rear deck, engine deck being very different, the most noticeable difference is in the turret, where this seam, where the turret hull is, actually was moved forward. If you see where this ring locator is for the housing, it was located right basically where that bulge ends, forward, more or less. The reason that this rooftop was extended is with this binocular sight rangefinder in place, there wasn't enough room inside the turret for the gun to depress properly. There was enough room for the optic, that wasn't a problem, but the gun wouldn't depress properly. So by moving the turret roof forward, I think it was like 6 or 8 or 12 inches scale, there was now enough room for the gun to depress adequately for the Wehrmacht. So that was one of the two most notable differences, and unfortunately neither the MiG Ammo kit nor the Hobby Boss kit do this. The only turret I've seen in 35th that actually does this, and this includes like the E75 kits, they don't do it either. The only turret I've actually seen do this is the long out of production Chesapeake Model Designs July 45 King Tiger conversion set, which that's kind of a unicorn to even find. But otherwise, I mean, this turret is really nicely done. I'm very impressed. This is going to be a royal pain to try to fix because this is a one-piece turret design, unlike the MiG Ammo one, the TACOM version, which is actually, you know, the turret roof is separate, so it's going to be a little bit easier to fix. But fix it I will. This is Sprue A. You get 4 of these. These give you your road wheels, your swing arms, and your torsion bars, as well as a few other components. Detail looks pretty good. They're still molded in halves, so you do have kind of a wicked seam to try and get rid of, but that's pretty much the same with everybody. Really heavy, beefy torsion bars. Very nice swing arms. One thing I noticed, I checked on all of them, there's no sink marks on the back. Good detail on the back of the wheels, not that you'll ever see them. Turret track hangers, they look big and heavy. They are big and heavy. These are probably, if you measure them, they're probably not far off scale actually. A few lifting hooks, handholds, periscope covers from the looks of it, towing clevises, dust covers for the engine. This is Sprue B. You get 2 of these. These give you your drive sprockets, idler wheels, exhausts, and a few other tidbits. So we get the 18-tooth sprocket. Some nice cast detail on the inside. Same with the idlers, actually. There's some cast texture there. Some cast texture on the back of the sprocket. That's your idler wheel mount. It is pinned into place, but it does appear that you can just cut the little tab on the inside of the lower hull if you want to make it adjustable. The exhausts, bit of a seam on the side to scrape off, but not a huge deal. Some nice cast texture. There is an insert piece to go inside to make that split. A little split piece that was put on there. A few other bits and bobs. Towing clevises seem rather huge, but I mean, this was like an 80-ton vehicle or so. This is Sprue C. This gives you your rear hull plate, all your fender parts, some of the tools. There is an engine deck. This is for the March 45 and earlier version. You do not use this in the kit. The fenders are pretty nice. They're all one piece. The hinge detail is pretty good. The tools are, yeah, they're okay. Kind of run-of-the-mill. They might look a little better when the P's on it. Some texture on the back of this piece there. I think you can pick it up there. Bosch headlight. That's the front part. Not much there. A lot of big pieces. This is Sprue D, and I wanted to show you this. This is as it comes out of the plastic bags. The bags, by the way, are quite thick, heavy bags for model sprue bags. And I first, when I opened the box, I thought that this was just something that was wrapped around by the supplier. But no, this is how it comes from Hobby Boss. And why they do that, if I can get this off, is because of that Bosch headlight piece. So they actually thought to protect that. So we have tow cables are alright. I haven't seen too many companies that do really excellent plastic tow cables. That's the commander's hatch. And yes, there's detail on the inside. Yay! 2 front hatches, turret ring, final drive housings. Detail looks kind of soft on those, actually. Unlike the armored exhaust covers, which are really nicely rendered. Commander's cupola, very nicely rendered as well. Fire extinguisher's okay. Lots of other fine little bits and bobs. Another tow cable, track cable. This is Sprue G. This is mostly turret parts. Base of the turret, the very bottom of the upper turret. You get a nice slide molded 2-piece muzzle brake, plastic muzzle brake. But other than the turret parts, I don't think you really use a whole heck of a lot. From here, some nice texture again. The fronts. This exhaust housing you don't use. Gun mantlets, good, nice texture there. That's the tip there. So this is Sprue E. I don't believe you really use a whole heck of a lot from here other than the gun parts and maybe the machine gun mount. There is a 1-piece plastic barrel, but otherwise it's mostly, I think you're just using this for the gun mount parts. Nice little jack block, kind of an odd place to put it. Some decent wood texture. On the front anyway, nothing on the sides, but usually don't get side stuff anyway. Nice multi-piece jack. This is Sprue H. The consensus on Facebook so far is this sprue is specific to this kit, just like Sprue J is. And this gives you the 18-tooth sprockets. I misspoke earlier. These are the late sprockets, the different front for the turret, and mysterious part H19, which I'll show you in a minute, which is not referenced anywhere in the instructions. Again, some very nice cast texture. Drive sprockets as well, front and back. Quite nice. And this is the mysterious piece H19, which certainly looks like it goes on the turret, but there's no mention of it anywhere in the instructions, so a bunch of us are wondering if there's a different variant coming out for it. So this is Sprue J. This is specific to this kit because this is the proposed July 45 engine deck with very different layout, just to show you compared to the original. The intakes are quite a bit different. They're an armored intake, and as well the door for the engine deck has 3 breathers instead of 2. Again, nice cast texture on everything. And this is where you have your armored sight covers for the turret. The holes are molded solid, but you could drill those out and mount some optics in behind, make them look nice. Again, nice texture. Sprues Z and GP, so this is specifically your MG34, and you get 2 of those, and your clear components. These are pretty nice and dainty. If you hear some rumbling in the background or experience a thunderstorm at the moment, it's been rolling in all day. The clear parts are pretty nice and clear. Should be able to paint those up very nicely. Remember, paint clear green, not red. They didn't have laser coatings on them at the time. Armored glass at the time was kind of a greeny bluey color. This is Sprue L. These are the tracks. These are the last model single link tracks. So all the tracks are the same. And you get 10 of these sprues. And from the looks of it, if you take your time and you're careful during assembly, you can actually make these work. Now, I was kind of disappointed from the rest of the kit compared to this. There is a lot of flash on these. A lot of flash. All over the place. So to make these workable is going to be a lot of extra work. Now how these work is you take 2 of these links, you sister them together, and then you glue one of the tooth components on the backside to kind of pin everything together. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of extra work. I can see a lot of people going for aftermarket tracks. And plus the molding on some of them isn't all that great. There's punch out pin marks too. And when you're dealing with this many parts, I mean, you want to do as little work as possible. But just the amount of cleanup is it's silly. That's going to turn a lot of people off. This is like 2 kits into itself, just by the sheer number of parts, never mind all the cleaning up. But for those that are tenacious and don't want to spend the money on aftermarket and don't care how long you work on a kit, there you go. And lastly, we'll go through all the little extras that you get with this kit. Now you get PE, you get a resin covered muzzle, machine metal barrel, and your decals. Decals look pretty good. They come in a bag and they have the tissue that you normally see, but they're also taped to it. I actually had to cut it with one of my scalpels. And the decals they're alright. Look a little on the thick side, but should be workable. I'm sure nothing a little bit of Mark Fit Strong or Microset can't fix. Metal barrel is, well, it's a metal barrel. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Doesn't have a hollow end, doesn't have rifling. You guys know how giddy I get when I see a metal barrel with rifling. But it's a lot easier to work with this than with the plastic barrel that would be in the kit. And I mean, considering for the price, I mean, you're getting this basically thrown in for free, and this would be, what, $10–15 extra Canadian. And your resin muzzle cover. So you will have to cut this tab off and sand it down. There's a little bit of an air bubble on the end, but it would just glue right on like so. And the PE comes in a bag with a nice protective card, but it in itself is also in a bag. Or oh, it's got a cover. There's a cover on each side. For those that like to watch this peel off, I know there's YouTube channels just for that. Much heavier than I'm used to with Voyager or Aber. Interesting. Heavy weave, very heavy weave. Not that that's bad. And then I think parts 9, I think those are for the tool clasps. Yeah, I know that one's for a tool clasp, I can tell right off the bat. That concludes our inbox review. Like I said, if you want to see me do a side-by-side comparison between the Hobby Boss kit and the MIG Ammo / TACOM Rebox kit, please let me know in the comment section below. It'll take me a while to assemble, do my comparisons and film everything. And I want to try and keep it down. I know these inbox review videos tend to be like 20 minutes, half an hour long. I get a little long-winded, sorry. Just so people know, I do have a 75th anniversary King Tiger Facebook page I've started up, along with my 75th anniversary Panther page, and for the modern guys out there that follow the channel, I do have a 40th anniversary for the Leopard tank page, all on Facebook. I'll put them all below, as well as a link to my own Facebook page, Blitzkrieg Model Works. I update that probably marginally more often than I do here. Sorry for the glare with the lights. I got to do something with the lighting conditions in here. So thank you very much. If any of you have any comments or constructive criticism, please leave it in the comment section below. I have 4 or 5 more inbox review kits that I picked up. There was a contest up in Edmonton, not far from me, last month. I'm going to be posting that video up. It's just going to be basically a slideshow of all the entries that were there. But I picked up a bunch of stuff from the vendors there, some stuff I've been looking for a while, some stuff I thought I would never buy, but it was one of those, a couple of those things where it was like, man, I can't afford not to buy this. But I'll be doing inbox reviews of those. Unfortunately, the King Tigers are going to have to wait until 2019. I am pretty much booked solid with all my Panthers at this point, and I'm hoping to do an update on the twin Panther F build that's going on. One is pretty much finished, the other is pretty close behind, and the little T80 is pretty much done. It's in paint and weathering right now as I speak. So anyway, again, thank you very much. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.